Hey, y'all, welcome back. It is Thursday. We've got another episode of the Late Night Vision Show, and we've got a treat. We have an interview. I'm going to let Jason formally introduce our guest, but it is going to be something you need to stick around for. Thursday, it is time to talk about scopes, optics, but more importantly today, we're going to be talking about pistols and rifles and all that kind of fun stuff. So before we get into that, our co-host, the owner of Outdoor Legacy Gear, Mr. Jason Robertson. He is here today. And who do we got with us, Jason?
We have got Mr. Tom Stewart from American Defense Manufacturing. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So if you have listened to the Late Night Vision Show very much at all in any of the last 200 and something episodes, then you're going to have heard us talking about American Defense. Sometimes I think we might talk about them so much that people get tired of hearing about American Defense, but we absolutely love the company. They are I'm going to tell you this. I know everybody knows, but just in case there's some guy from the back crack of the internet somewhere that doesn't know, they are the makers of very, very fine, high-end American-made products, including optic mounts, AR-15 style rifles, pistols. These guys make some awesome stuff. Hans and I have sported some of their custom pistols here on the show, as well as always promoting their mounts that many thermal and night vision manufacturers in the industry use. So we've got Tom here. We're excited about that. Just a real brief background on Tom. I was kind of asking him, like, kind of what's your title? What do you do? I figured something out. He does a little bit of everything around there. I mean, he's a jack of all trades, self-proclaimed there, but basically he does a lot in the law enforcement and military side of sales. He works a lot in their new product development and does a lot of competition shooting. And Tom, if I understood you correctly, you started out, well, let me back up. Let's take it further. Originally, you had military service. Then
Correct.
You went into about 27 years of law enforcement service.
That is correct.
And you were doing competitive shooting. You hooked up with American Defense as a sponsored shooter of theirs. Is around this. I'm going so
You're
good
on
so
the right
far.
track.
All right,
Yeah.
all right, good. And then somehow through that, next thing he knows, he's got a desk and a job and his name on a little plate, and he's working there.
that pretty much sums it up. Yeah.
That's really awesome. Well, so I was telling, when I first saw Tom come onto the show and we kind of did a pre-show meeting, I said, now that is the office of a real man. And I'm going to tell you, if you're listening on iTunes or any audio versions, go check out the YouTube video, because the man's got more plaques than I've got, screws underneath this table. I mean, he's got more going on back there. But
I've had a lot of years to collect them.
A lot of years to collect them. And so also my office looks like American Defense Manufacturing Museum because of all the things I got in here. But we're going to get into a lot of specifics, a lot of things that people may know about as it pertains to thermal optics and night vision optics and mounts. And also talk about some pistols. So before we do that, help introduce a little bit American Defense Manufacturing to the audience. I know they've heard about it, but a little bit about the company. Jason, and you talked a little bit about your background and coming into the business, but if you want to expand on it a little bit, but tell us what is American Defense Manufacturing?
So American Defense Manufacturing, obviously by the name, one of our pride points is everything's going to be American made, assembled, manufactured, designed right here. The company started, kind of as your own little home entrepreneur dream. The original owner, Will Orn, he started it in the garage. He started back in 1992 with his first machine operating out of his garage. That kind of expanded from there as he took on more machine shop work. He hired a neighborhood kid, John Gross, our other secondary partner owner, in '94. And those two have been running the company ever since then, and just continues to grow and grow and grow. Started out doing regular, machine shop work. A lot of that, due to our geographic location, there's a lot of gun industry in this area. So as a machine shop, they did a lot of contract work, making a lot of firearms industry parts for other companies. As it continued through that, back in 2006, they designed and got their own patent on the original QD lock system. That was kind of the heart of the company. At that point, the machine shop also took on the start of the new company, American Defense Manufacturing, because the machine shop side of the company is WS Machine and Tool. So with that first patent, American Defense started with the QD lock system for optics mounts, lights, lasers, bipods, pretty much anything that you can attach to a Picatinny rail. Our lock and lever system is used for. That kind of continued on through progression with the engineers and that, and they came up with a patent for the our UIC, the ambidextrous rifle in 2014. And it's just continued to grow and grow from there. Now we're at the point where we're in multiple buildings, well over 100 employees here. Just kind of keep it growing and growing and getting better.
Right. So Jason told us a little bit about you, briefly about the military career, law enforcement, on into working with American Defense. What exactly, what is it that you do? But what do you oversee? Because we come to you for everything. I mean, rifle related, pistol mounts. One of the things that impressed us the most several years ago when we started doing business with American Defense, it's nice when a company, you get the feeling that when you work with a company that they want your business. And your company from the very beginning, when we just started, I think it started with the Pulsar Thermion mounts, the 30 millimeter Recon mounts, and that's y'all stepped up.
We sent you a couple different of our options for that, for what you guys need to figure out which one was going to work best for your customer base.
Right. So as your transition from military to law enforcement to now being in the business and working for American Defense, what do you oversee and your involvement in the industry? Do you see any correlation between what you're doing now and some of the stuff you were doing pre hunting related or industry related, or is it just you got that competitive shooter and it
was kind of all of it kind of tied in. So I was just doing the law enforcement thing. After I went through my first sniper school and graduated that, I was looking for a way to improve my skills. So through that, I located a range where I was able to shoot. From there, I got into competitive shooting, long range stuff, Palma shooting. So you're shooting 800, 900, 1,000 yards with 308 with iron sight.
Okay.
So through that, I saw at the range they had a lot of pistol matches going on. So I got interested in that. Again, started picking up on that and increase my capability and skill level for work. From there, it went into 3-gun. Started taking pretty seriously, traveling around the country doing that. And I guess you could consider it as a professional shooter, because I started taking on sponsorships and getting paid to do it. And my first introduction with American Defense is myself and my daughter were shooting a 3-gun match at a military base. And American Defense had 2 reps there, and they saw that I was already using their mounts, before I even knew that they were in the same state I lived in. I had purchased their mounts, and they asked if they could take some pictures of us while we were shooting the match using their mounts. So that was my first intro to the company employees. From there, it just kind of built from there, them asking me questions, me giving them some feedback back and forth. From there, kind of helping them with some product development. I started working part-time for them, because with Ellie, it was 6 on, 3 off, so I had a lot of weekdays off. So I'd come in and build rifles for them part-time. Did that for several years, and then decided to retire from law enforcement and took over here full-time.
The reason why I asked, there's a lot of crossover between military law enforcement into the hunting, and it's a natural progression, but into the hunting and shooting sports and industries and companies. I always ask anytime we have anybody come on, how did you get to this point? Because That's a lot of question, a very similar question that Jason and I get. How did you get from what you're doing pre-hunting industry to where you got now? And it's always an interesting story. And it's one of those things usually that you start out working for free for a while until you actually make money doing it, is what we find. So, but anyway, you may have noticed Jason is back in the chat room. Welcome back, Jason. He had some bad storms down there.
I don't know what I missed, but I bet it was interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was all about you.
All about you. We talked bad about you. No, Jason's had some bad storms. I'm glad you're back with us now. Well, he may not be back with us. He may be struggling.
We had storms, and the power was back good all day, and I guess they're probably working on it again because it went off, came back on, went off. And at this point, if it's garbled or whatever, I'm on cell phone hotspot, and I don't know. So we're just going to go with it. We're running on generator power, and so anyway,
this is making
where are we at? What did I miss?
Well, I'm just thinking about all the editing cleanup I've got to do, but we're going to move on forward with it. That's what I get.
Yeah, go on with it.
We're going to talk about
living in the country. This is what you get.
Exactly.
This is what happens.
So we talked about the intro. Tom's introduction into the hunting industry, and really from there kind of want to talk about products, and get into the meat and potatoes of
it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, so I mean, probably one of the products that your clientele are the most familiar with is going to be our Recon Mount. So that's going to be the cantilevered 30 millimeter. We offer in many other sizes, 1 inch 30 millimeter, 32, 34, and 35, and even some 40 millimeter versions. That's probably the item that you guys sell the most of for the pulsar thermions, and then a lot of other regular daytime scopes. So that is one of our core items. The Recon Mount itself comes with several different options. The primary one that we sell the most of is most standard. Is going to be the same one that you guys we brand for you. Is going to be the height of 1.5 inches above the rail to the center of the optic. For people with different preferences of how they like to set their guns up, we offer those in 3 different heights. We have that 150 Recon M, which will be a 170, and then a Recon H, which is the highest one, which is going to be a 193 height. So it gives your end user a lot of adjustability in how they set their scope up so that it fits them and the rifle that they're mounting it on.
Right. So
So
go ahead, Jason.
So I'm just going to say, tell us a little bit about. I mean, we know this, and I mean, we've handled so many of your different mounts, but tell us a little about. I mean, you're making these things, you're machining them, you're doing this here in the U.S. This is a high quality deal. I mean, this is not. And I tell people when somebody asks me, like, is it worth it? And I say, if you put this in your hand, like that Recon mount, say, compared to a Chinese, I said, if you could touch these, you'll know. I mean, you hold them, you feel them, you move the levers, you look at everything. I mean, tell us kind of what goes into that, what makes these things so nice.
So one of the nice things about this mount, you've got the solid one-piece base unit on it. So you're going to be connected solid. Both rings are going to be connected at the bottom to one solid piece rather than having 2 separate kind of traditional rings that have 2 different weakness points without the connection between them other than the scope holding them together. So this is going to have that solid base. Our QD locking system on there. You've got the little release lock lever there. So that allows you to open up the lever. We have a toolless adjustment system with that so that whatever your rail size is when you put it on there, as long as you have that lever unlocked all the way, you can compress and the nut will pop out the other side. So then you can tighten or loosen that to fit your rail. The nut will then drop back into a recess so that can never vibrate loose. When the lever is locked, it physically cannot open up without you releasing that locking lever on there. So that gives you a 100% positive lock onto the rail. You don't have to worry about vibratizing your screws or putting the paint marks on them to see if your mounting screws are going to be loosening up on the mount, attaching the mount to the rifle itself. And then with the rings that you're actually going to be holding the optic into the mount with, one of the nice things with the Recon over a lot of other ones is the rings are separate from the base itself. So if you today buy it for a 30 millimeter scope, and then next year Pulsar comes out with something, they need a little more space, and they decide to run a 34 millimeter tube rather than having to buy the entire new mount, you can buy a new set of rings that are 34 millimeter and keep the same base unit. So it's a little bit more economical that way.
That is
That's
awesome.
cool. I didn't know that.
I want to ask a question, and this, I'm going to put you on the hot seat here.
All right.
We get this all the time. All right. So you've got people like AGM using your mounts. You've got IRA USA. You've got Envision. I'm sure I'm probably leaving somebody out, but those guys, every one of them is using some form. I'll make a real point here. You were showing your QD locking lever. That's the same on all y'all's mounts. So that's a Recon mount he was showing, but it doesn't matter. Any of their mounts, the locking lever mechanism, all is going to be the same.
That is correct.
You're making a lot of these small little mounts for these thermal manufacturers. And I get these guys that go, man, I can't do it. It's only got one locking lever. I have two. So tell us once and for all, I mean, is that one little locking lever on that 3-inch long mount enough to hold zero and retain that where that thing needs to be?
Yes, it is. I mean, if you look at the contact area on the bottom of that, it has a lot of contact area with the rail. The locking mechanism in there is going to be significantly larger than what your traditional rings are. So you have a lot more surface contact, and the amount of camming leverage that you have on there locking it in is obviously the companies, they're not going to be shipping these out to you if they haven't done a lot of their own internal testing beyond our own testing before we send them out. So they're obviously making a decision that they're putting their product and reputation on, as much as we are. So it's been tested, trust me.
There you go. You heard it from the man, Tom. I appreciate it. We get that all the time. And I have to nicely ask guys, let's take Envision for an example. I don't think they're going to send you a $9,500 scope with a 50-cent mount on it. They've tested it for sure.
I think,
good.
Yeah. Thank you for asking that, because I'm glad you didn't forget that, Jason. That's an important question. A lot of people ask about the 2 or 1 throw lever, but you're right. You've got AGM, which I got an AGM scope on top of American Defense pistol right now, and it's got the mounts. What I tell people all the time, especially with the Recon mounts, is you're buying a $3,000 scope or a $6,000 scope. Don't put it in a cheap mount. Put it in a good mount. Put it in something that you're going to have confidence in. Because I tell people all the time, and you probably know this better than anybody, Tom, shooting effectively has a lot to do with confidence and confidence.
100%.
In your
and the entire system is only as good as the weakest link.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you have a $3,000-$4,000 rifle, everything you have all customized out there, the best suppressor, everything else out there, you buy your, however many $1,000 optic, and you try and put a $75 Chinese mount between the two. It's the two, no matter how good the other two parts are, it's only going to be as good as the weakest link.
Yep. So with all that being said, and there's a lot of people too, that Recon mount for the Pulsar, which we started using from day one when that new Thermion design came out, and y'all were able to come in clutch and get those for us. A lot of people also are picking those up for their daytime optics, because they're buying the thermal scope, and 30 millimeter tube is very common for daytime scope. So they're getting one of those Recon mounts for their thermal scope and their daytime scope, so they can switch it on and off. But y'all do so many custom mounts, Tom. It's got to be. It's got to be a lot of trial and error. I'm just telling you, because we get that new IRA micros out, and it's something like we've never seen. The ADM mounts for that is something like we've never seen, with basically 2 sides to it.
That's why I have raw metal pieces sitting on my desk. Trial and error.
It's like the worst form of Play-Doh.
And we also do it in 3D printing. I mean, literally probably about 2 hours before it came on with you, was working with one of our engineers where he had prototyping new mount base. And he's 3D printing, bringing it over, mocking it up, setting it up, seeing how it works, and it wasn't working perfectly the way we wanted it tonight. So he's got it 3D printer running overnight, printing out a new revision to test tomorrow.
So
Wow.
we all know, and everybody listening to the show, we know that the American Defense Manufacturing mounts are the gold standard. I mean, if you talk to anybody here, any of our customers, I think the industry as a whole knows that ADM makes the best mounts for thermal scopes. Now, let's talk about something that we haven't discussed a lot on the show, and that's the American Defense Manufacturing firearms.
Yep.
That's what a lot of people like to hear about. Things that go boom. We've got some
and that was kind of my big draw into the company, or the big reason they brought me in, is my prior experience with firearms, because there's a big difference between just picking something up and looking at it and saying this looks really cool, to having to carry it for 8 or 10 hours a day and use it on a regular basis.
Right.
You kind of interact with the rifle a little bit differently, and certain areas stand out as being, I wish I could make this better. And that was kind of one of the weird things coming into this industry. I mean, every time you've done something in your garage or messing around with something, you always have a better idea in your head. Oh, if only I had this, if only I did this. Well, I'm kind of stuck in the position now where I have that at my disposal. Right. I mean, if there's something with the gun that when I'm using it, I wish it did this, or I wish it didn't feel that way or whatever, I have the ability to make that recommendation and come up with a prototype design change. And that's changed quite a few things here, just having some of that insight.
So we know that American Defense makes what I would consider, I don't know if that's appropriately worded, but high-end rifles or high-end pistols.
Yep.
But the big question is, and what people are going to want to know is, what makes the American Defense products, the firearm products, better than the wholesale AR builder, or going to a big box, but the ones that are just moving a ton of product. What makes yours better than anybody else's out there?
So one of our big goals with our rifle line is to have it set up when it leaves the factory so that you are not going to have to upgrade it. I mean, one of the things that people love so much about the AR platform is kind of like Legos. I mean, you can mix and match different things, and that's quite frequently how they buy kind of their budget, mid-grade AR, and then they are constantly changing this, adding this, changing the trigger, changing, a lot of different things. Our goal was to come with a product that right out of our factory is set up with all the premium items in it. Part of that starts with us in our machining process, making the full billet upper and lower for the rifle. Then we have our patented control features on there too, that's going to add some value and functionality to it. The few parts on the rifle that we don't make in-house, we went top of the line on, kind of what the industry standard is. Triggers, we use Geissele triggers in our rifles. We were making our own triggers for a while. Geissele has it perfected, and they make a good product. So that comes standard in our rifles right out the door. So after you purchase one, you don't have to look at going and buy another $250 trigger and adding this to it. Another thing with popularity of suppressors now, our rifles will come standard with the Surefire War Comp, so it already has the $150, $175 muzzle device that allows you to QD a Surefire suppressor directly onto the rifle. Our 223, 308, and 6.5 Creedmoor rifles come from us with a Criterion hand lap match grade barrel. So that barrel is the heart of the rifle. So having that high end barrel in there, I mean, that's something that, again, if you bought a cheap rifle, you wanted to increase your accuracy or something like that, you're going to have to spend another $300 to add that onto it. That comes with our rifle. And then our ambidextrous controls is one of the patented features on there. So a lot of times when people think of ambidextrous controls, they just think, if I'm not left-handed, I'm going to turn off and not listen. The goal behind our ambidextrous controls was to allow a right-handed or a left-handed shooter to be able to manipulate all the controls on the gun while maintaining their shooting grip and not having to do any kind of a two-handed balance going around. So on this side of the rifle, you can see this lever right here. That's going to function just like the slide stop on a semi-automatic pistol that most people are familiar with. So if I want to let the bolt go forward or lock and open, and I'm a right-handed shooter, I can do that while maintaining my shooting grip by just swiping down on that. It'll let the bolt go forward. Or if I want to lock into the rear, pull the bolt back, lift the lever up, let it catch, and it's locked to the rear. I never had to do the switch around or the two-handed thing like that.
Yeah.
If you are a left-handed shooter, we have a magazine release on the left side, so you can maintain your shooting grip, same location, same body mechanics. We've also expanded the paddle on this side. It's not so much to have a large area to slap at, but we've extended the bottom of it so a left-handed shooter can also maintain his shooting grip and be able to lock the bolt to the rear. And then the left-handed shooter, after they lock the bolt to the rear, doing an auto battery mag change instead of having to reach underneath, throw over the top, or pull the charging handle, let the bolt go forward after inserting the magazine. Then you insert the magazine, thumbs are the index there, and the bolt's forward. So just try to streamline and make all the controls on the rifle more suitable and more able for the end shooter to be able to use.
Right. Well, that definitely, the ambidextrous thing is the first thing that catches your eye, which is definitely unique. And something that Jason and I both love about our rifles, even though we're both right-handed, it's still cool to have that on there. But anybody that's left-handed are like, oh man, I've got to have it, you know?
Yep. And even, I mean, I'm right-handed, you know, and once I started using these rifles on a regular basis, it got so ingrained in me, I was used to that. So anytime I picked up a different rifle and having to do the whole two-handed switcheroo to lock it open, it's like, so they should all be that way.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right.
Yeah, it definitely is something that when you get used to that, you're definitely spoiled to it. I mean, it's something that, like you said, you don't realize it, how easy it is to get used to it. And you pick up another rifle, and it is a strange feeling once you've gotten used to it. And I'm with you. I'm glad you said that about when you talk about ambidextrous shooters and you say, you know, well, right-handed shooters just turn that off. That's me every time. Like, I don't care. And then when I got this, you know, ADM pistol, I'm like, oh wow, this is not just for lefties. This is for everybody. So
the nice thing about it too is that all the standard mil spec controls are still there. So if somebody likes to run the rifle the way that they've historically done it, or under stress, revert back to doing it that way, all those controls are still there. They still function exactly the same way. So the rifle's going to do what they want it to do.
Right. Yeah.
Well, one thing I want to talk a little bit about is just kind of the overall industry movement that has come up with these pistols. That's become a huge thing. I know when it first kind of started, guys were getting these things, and this was really kind of even before the braces came in. And I was like, well, who wants that goofy thing? I mean, what are you going to do with that? And anyway, before long, I mean, you know, just a short years, these things blew up, and I finally broke down. I was like, well, I guess I better try one. Like, oh, this is amazing. And you know, everybody's bought pistols. And so, you know, have y'all seen that as just as a company?
Yeah, as a company and me as a personal shooter. Like you said, when some of the initial pistol tubed ARs came out, it's like, that's kind of stupid. It's a unique thing, but it's really not very functional for me. When some of the first braces came out, I was still a little hesitant, never bought one. I mean, had the opportunity obviously here to mess around with them in other places, but once the braces kind of progressed and the ATF had their current opinion of how they can be used, I own multiple of them. and it has taken over a good portion of the business that we do too. With the who knows what future of it, it's made the business side of it kind of tricky because you have to forecast out, you know, production and products to do that. So it's really kind of a gamble at this point as to how much inventory we want to have and how many tens or hundreds of $1,000s worth of items and specifically barrels we want to have on hand ready to build with when we don't know what the future is going to be.
Yeah. And I guess you're alluding to whatever ATF is deciding they're going to want to do that month.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Well,
so yeah, that is always I tell guys that ask me about them, hey, should I buy one? And I'm like, I think they're great, but you need to understand that you wake up tomorrow morning, have to take that apart. I mean, you could have a problem tomorrow. Hopefully not, hopefully never, but you just got to kind of gamble going into it. And, I like the idea of getting them, and you got it, and then SBR in it, like I've already got it. I can use it, but now I can go ahead and get the tax stamp and be good no matter what they decide next week. So,
I agree with that 100%.
Well, listen, so kind of talking about these pistols, and obviously, folks that have watched the show a lot have seen the custom, 6.5 Grendel, 12.5-inch rifles, or sorry, pistols that y'all made us, pistols, and man, we just absolutely love them. And so y'all have kind of got an announcement, something new you've been doing, and tell us about that. Everybody, I think, is a lot of our listeners have asked about the pistols we've got from y'all. So tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, so I started with using the 6.8 SBC quite a while ago. I liked the lightweight AR-15 platform over the AR-10 platform, especially when I was getting my kids into hunting. So I built them both a 6.8 SBC rifle, so it was very easy for them to manipulate and carry around and use. With what we were just talking about with the advent of the pistols, it's made it even more compact and functional, lightweight. So through talking with you, other people, went down to Georgia, did some hunting down there, and talking to some of the feedback we had from there, it seemed like a harder hitting, lightweight, compact pistol would be a very functional item as a hunting tool. So we came back, and you guys had the very first prototypes. Didn't even have production barrels. I mean, the barrels that for your first two guns, we took down out of 22-inch long 6.5 Grendel bull barrels that we cut to length and turn laid down to the proper contour that we wanted, and set them up that way. Like I said, you two were the very first guinea pigs testing those out.
Yeah.
And since then, we have now an actual production available version of that, both in the 6.8 SBC and the 6.5 Grendel. They're in a 12.5 and a 12-inch pistol configuration. Title it Compact Hunter. So I think it should be very ideal for some of the southern hog hunters, as well as anywhere else in the country for medium-sized game, especially whitetail.
Well, that is an awesome setup. I know Hans just showed one. He's got one of the final production units there. And we've already been talking about some joint custody paperwork that we're doing on that. We definitely have been talking about
possession is 90% of the law or something like that.
Well, yeah, we're talking about who gets weekends with the baby, but he can have it all week.
I've already scratched my initials in underneath it, so you mean
yeah, not happening. I'm gonna get the serial number and SBR that thing in my name so he can't have it. So. Yeah. No, but with that said, Tom, tell us, that unit, whether in a 6.8 or the 6.5 Grendel, it is available. Y'all have those, the production. What is the approximate cost? Do you have that? Do you know what that is?
The retail value of that rifle is going to be $2,150.
There you go.
And yes, we do have those. They're live on our website right now. Awesome. You can find them on the website under the special edition or the pistol tab, either one. And just before the show, I went back and checked. We have inventory to build more of them, but I've actually got 6 of them in stock ready to ship now.
Awesome.
So they're available.
That's good. Well, folks, I'm telling you, Hans and I can attest to this. If you are looking for a hog killing machine, and to this, not just hogs, kill a lot of coyotes with it as well. But if you're looking for that short barrel type pistol, or maybe something that you want to, turn into an SBR, These things are legit. Go run down there and get one. I'm serious. They are the real deal. I'll say this. I own a lot of AR-15s, and I own every nice. The American Defense is the nicest thing I own for sure. And then I own some cheapos. Okay. I own some Frankensteins I built, 18 years ago. I own some
You're cutting
really
out
nice AR firearm.
Yep.
We're gonna have to sum
Am
up
I
Jason.
gone?
Yeah, we're just gonna have to sum up Jason, and what he was saying was he's got a lot of pistols, and ADM is the nicest. But
I would agree.
but we're going to move on to where can, if they want to see more about American Defense products, where can they find that stuff at?
Best place to find it is going to be our website. So that's going to be admmfg.com. That'll have our full line of the rifles and mounting systems on it as well. So you can scroll through that and should be able to find just about anything that you need on there.
All right.
Then I did have a couple other things that I wanted to kind of point out kind of with our mounting systems.
Okay.
One's probably one that you guys have not seen yet, even you two. One of those is going to be another mount for the Wraith series. So we have the B3 HD that you guys use for the kind of the traditional, the HD and the 4K. And then we have the B2 for the new mini release.
Mm-hmm.
We also, because we had some feedback about wanting to be able to cantilever those mounts to help with eye release, especially on a bolt action gun. So we have a single lever, the B3C.
Yeah.
So that'll allow you to mount your Wraith and have it cantilever to the rear. So if you're running that on a bolt action gun, it can get the eye relief back a little bit closer if it's a long stock gun.
That's great. Yeah.
So those are available also now. And then one other item, I see you guys hunt quite frequently with tripods.
Yeah.
So we've got a QD tripod mounting system. So again, that uses our QD lever on it. And you can see it has multiple holes there. So on my personal one, I run 2 bolts through it, but a lot of tripods just have 1.
Right.
So you can attach this part to the ball head of your tripod, and then just have a small Picatinny rail on the bottom of your rifle, and you can drop it on there and then lock your rifle into that with the QD. Yeah. And then whenever you want to take it off, it's just a matter of quick popping that off, and you have it free in your hands.
Yeah, very popular for sure. That is awesome. So with that also being said, also heard that you might have something for the guest, for anybody that's interested in picking up one of these pistols.
Yep. Yeah. So kind of in honor of you guys having me on your show with you tonight, we're going to offer your listeners a 10% discount on any of our rifle platforms. That'll be good for 30 days after the airing of the show. Once you go onto our website and you get to the checkout portion, there'll be a coupon code area there. So if you just type in OLG10 for outdoor legacy gear, OLG10 will get you 10% off your rifles.
Yeah, that is awesome. Well, thank you so much. I know all the listeners are going to like that. OLG10, go check it out, 10% off on the platforms. I tell you, these are going to be, it's going to be your new favorite pistol or rifle. And we really, appreciate you being on the show, Tom. Jason,
no problem.
You want to give it another shot here?
I don't know if y'all can
hear
me, see me. I have no idea.
We can hear you. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm even here or not. Can you hear me?
Well, just the people that are watching on the
folks,
video,
I'm sorry.
I'm going to pick out the most unflattering picture, and that's what's going to be stuck up on the screen.
I know. I'm sorry. It's I'm working off 1 bar of cell phone service and trying to do a hotspot. So it's country life. But
we can
Tom,
hear you.
listen, if you can hear me, I really, really appreciate you coming on. Y'all may not have been able to hear me, but I've been able to hear you most of the time. So I've enjoyed it. I think people, like Con said, if you go pick up one of these pistols or these rifles, any of these firearms, you're going to love them. Go check them out, and I think you'll be very happy with them.
And again, it, like you said, Tom, it's been a year and a half. It needs to be
Yeah, I think
sooner
we've been
than
trying
that.
to schedule this. Yep.
I will say, of all the companies that we work with, y'all are very, very generous. You've done a lot of giveaways for our audience. Very appreciative of that. You're welcome on the show anytime. You represent the company very well, and we are happy to work with you. We really are. You, like I said, from day one, you have proven to us and to our audience and customers that you want the business, and that definitely means a lot in this world today, when everything is point and click.
Because your company kind of seems to represent a lot of the same values that we do, and having that one-on-one contact with the end user is key to our business. I mean, they are what keeps us alive. So I mean, by having that one-on-one contact with them and taking feedback and trying to build the best product we can for them, that makes everybody's life good.
So I will, in the video of this, in the description, I'm going to link to your website, American Defense. I'm also going to put up the promo code so you don't forget it. Put it on there if you're interested in picking anything up. Folks, I know when you call in and you talk to Jason and I about scopes, a lot of it is about mounts. We're talking about American Defense Manufacturing products all the time. But if you have a question about the pistols, ask me. I use them a lot. Ask Jason. We're a proud representative of what they produce in their products. So go check out the website. Again, we'll link to it. If you want to go find anything related to night vision or thermal optics, we invite you to check out our website, outdoorlegacygear.com. You can always call us at 877-350-1818 if you want to talk to me or Jason. We'd love to take your phone call. I know that you can find American Defense on Instagram. They're very active. The fantastic content on Instagram. I'm sure on Facebook. Jason, I'm not on Facebook, but I'm sure that they're on there. So go check out their socials. You can also check out Outdoor Legacy on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and you can check me out on Instagram and YouTube as well. Jason, I'm just going to go ahead and sign off for you. So why don't you just wave at everybody?
Yeah, I don't know if y'all need to hear anymore.
Anyway, we look forward to bringing you another show. We look forward to Tom being back on the show. And again, Tom, it's been great. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Look forward to having you back soon. And for that, for Jason and Tom, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And I'm going to say Jason's line because he's stuck.
Yeah, I'm stuck. I don't know.
He's stuck. Y'all stay safe in the fields. We'll see y'all soon. Keep making the bacon pancakes.